There's power in stories.
Hey, Wolfpack, Crimson Wolf, and by now I'm sure a lot of you have saw Bioware's E3 demo of Anthem, and can I say it looks amazing. Now, we've known about Anthem since about last year when they showed at E3, but we got a lot more information this time around, and this is just my general opinion and somewhat of a breakdown on what they showed off at E3 this year. Now, I don't have this scripted, so this is more like off the top of my little notes and bullet points that I took while watching it. I was out of town when E3 was going on, but I did manage to see the demo and see Mark Dura and Casey Hudson talk about it. And can I say I'm so excited for this game now. At first I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get the game mainly because it was me supporting Bioware, and I had a general interest in the game anyway. But after seeing so much of it now, I'm like, oh my god, this looks like an amazing game, and it looks and sounds like a Bioware driven game. But anyway, let's get to my breakdown anyway. So first off, we know as a player, we are going to be called freelancers, which is our, I guess, general term for our player characters and everything. And while we're humans, we are not from Earth, which I think is very interesting to say, hey, you're playing as a human, and yes, that's the only race you can play as. There are no aliens that you can make your character into. You're human, but we're not from Earth, which I think is really cool, and I would like to dive more into what does that mean, how are we created and everything. I think that would be really cool, and that's a really cool concept to kind of dive into, and I want to see more of that as we see more of Anthem when it comes out. So again, we only can play as human, and our character is voiced, but you do not get to choose the voice of your character. You have general male and general female character voice, which, I mean, that's typically fine. I mean, mostly because that character is only something that we're going to see when we're playing a story, and not so much when we're like doing co-op in the game. So I think that's fine. I really don't need to hear my voice character. I mean, the voice, while it's cool, like I like the voices like from Inquisition and Mass Effect, I don't think this one plays as much of an important role because of how we're going to be in the world. So next thing we have the Javelin suits, or the mech suits, and the official name for them are Javelins, or Javelins, however you want to pronounce it. And right off the bat, we know that we're going to start with 4 suits, which are the Ranger, Colossus, Storm, and Interceptor, which they're all really cool suits. And we know that we're going to have those 4 at launch. That's literally one of the terms Mark Dura and Casey Hudson say, at launch, meaning they're most likely going to add more Javelin suits later on as the game progresses, which is really cool. Another cool thing is the suits are customizable, so that means you can customize how they look, like cosmetics, like paint jobs, weaponry, grenades, things like that. So they're real customizable, which I think this is really cool. I mean, if you play Destiny and everything, like you're kind of you could customize them, but you have to pay for these paint jobs, and they're only one use. But what Mark Dura said, and he said you can buy these things, which is probably the only thing you may buy, or you can actually loot them when you find them in the world. And it's not just a one-time use, meaning you can use the paint jobs multiple times, which is really cool. I'm going to get to the loot and everything later, but I want to talk more about the game itself. So another thing that we know about the Javelins is that you're not stuck in one suit. Meaning you can literally have multiple suits, in which it makes so much sense, because in some games, again, like Destiny, you're stuck as one class. But in Anthem, you will be able to change suits. So you can start as a Ranger, start in a Ranger Javelin, but then you can later switch into a Colossus or a Storm or Interceptor, which is really cool, meaning you're not stuck in one suit. And a lot of people want to use these as classes, but in truth, the Javelin suits aren't classes. Like, yeah, the Ranger is more, I guess, in my opinion, it looks more balanced. Like you can go up close and personal, or take more of a back seat, but you can customize it to where you can be a Ranger and up close, or you can be far away. Same thing with the Colossus. We saw that in a demo where there was a Colossus suit that was They had a flamethrower, which was more up close, and then there's a Colossus that did more range damage. And then the Storm seemed more like a mage type class, which that one might be more stuck in that class form. And unfortunately, we didn't see much of the Interceptor. Wish we just saw more of that, but that seems like a more speedy character. So if I had to generalize into a certain class that we are familiar with, I would say that one's more like a rogue, I suppose. That's just how I can interpret it. But again, as a player, you're not stuck using one job, and you can switch between them, not on the fly. Like if you're in a mission, you're in that job and for that mission. But when you get back to your base or whatever, you can switch and prioritize which job you want to use for missions, which I think is again really cool and something I loved hearing. I thought they also say this. That means there's no reason for you to start a new game, like a new character, meaning you can have your character and you get to play all the jobs. I mean, you can only start this game once. And I'd say the only reason you probably have to restart the game is maybe you want to replay the story mode. And I'm guessing you can replay the story mode a little bit to a certain point. I'm not sure, they didn't really say anything about that, but given how Anthem's sounding, I don't think that's really needed. I don't think you need to play story mode because of how the world is. And get into the next category, we have the world. And they've said this time and time again, it's going to be a live world. So that basically means, in their terms, it's going to be a shared world. Meaning each world is going to be on a server. And that means everyone will experience the same time of day, weather, and events. So that means if you're on a server, I'm not sure if it's going to be one universal server or it's going to have different servers for different like locations, like Eastern server, Central server. Like they may most likely do something like that, but it sounds like they're going to connect the servers for them to all work together for everyone who's in Anthem at one point to see the same things going on. So that's what it sounds like. So, but basically, if you're in a world and you have a friend that goes in the same world, you're going to experience the same kind of storms that's going on in the world. You're going to see the same events. You're going to be in the same type of day. So I think that's really cool. And what this also means is that while you're in this world, you don't necessarily have to team up with someone. You may see them in the open world, but you don't have to team up. I think that was really cool that you're going to like pass by them while flying or whatever, but you don't have to team up. So they also stress this, that you can play the story and explore the world solo or with a team. They literally give you that option, like, hey, you can do this, you can lone wolf it, or you can literally join a team. I think it's real cool that you can do these things. They're not making you join a team like, oh, you need 4 people to do this, but no, you can actually just do this by yourself if you want to, which I think is good. I think giving you that option in these kind of games is always good. Giving you that option to make a choice, like, hey, I want to play this with my friends, or I want to do this, solo, is always a good option rather than, oh no, this is necessary, you have to have a team. So I'm very happy they did that. They also specified that there will be no PvP or player versus player at launch, meaning that you won't be able to fight other players right away. They may add it later. I think that one was more up in the air if they'll do that or not. I think if they do a PvP, I think that should be more like an arena type thing and not so much in open world. So I think an arena type of setting will be work better for PvP if they include it at all. Personally, I'm not always in PvP. Like, I didn't do it very much in a lot of games, so it's something I can take or leave or take. So that's not interest to me. But I guess most of y'all who do PvP are interested in that. They may add that later on in the game. So there you go. As far as how the co-op works, you will not see players in your hub, meaning where you start the game at and where you like change your Javelin suits and everything. You won't see other players. That area is mainly for you to go through the story at your own pace, and that's what that hub is for. It's not so much a co-op hub where you see other players and interact with them. Rather, co-op is more a drop-in, meaning you invite a friend or a character or whoever you're playing with, and they drop into your mission, and that's how co-op works. And again, they stressed a living world, so it means the world will change and things will move even when you're not there. So meaning creatures will die, the world will physically change even when you're not there, and they really stress the fact that because this shared world in this living world. They're going to add new moments. They're going to add new storylines, plots, character interactions, and lore will be added to the story throughout Anthem's run. So meaning they really mean a living world. They're going to add things to it as the game progresses after its launch, which I really love. And and it sounds like, I'm hoping this is just things they're going to just add for free, or if it's going to be DLC, they haven't really said. They might be a good mix between both of them. So that's what it sounds like to me. And knowing Bioware, I think they'll do a good mix between both, where they give you free events and everything in the world that's just going to come out when they're finished developing it. And I think they're going to have some DLC that you have to pay for later, which is separate and is optional. Like maybe it's more story driven based DLC like they usually do. But it sounds like from what Casey Hudson and Mark Dura and other devs have said at E3, they're going to add these things to the world and you're not going to have to pay for them like that. So I'm very happy to hear what they have planned for the world. So next we have the enemies, which the main enemy apparently is the Dominion. And from what it sounds like, it's a splinter group of the human people. And so it's basically a human versus human war for the most part. I don't have too much information on them. It sounds like this is just more like a war between the Dominion, who wants to use this ancient technology for their benefit, I guess, to take over the world and destroy Anthem, which is the main, I think it's how they described it, was like the main city where us as freelancers dwell. So that's what it sounds like. I could be wrong on what Anthem is, but for the basic idea is that our main enemies are the Dominion, who want to use these ancient relics to take over the world, use it for their own game. Another side enemy are the Scars, which are just smaller enemies, and I don't think they play a bigger part. They may, I'm not sure. We didn't see too much of them in the demo. But on to our hub system. So we already said like we have the main city, but when you're traveling the world, you have a sort of camp in a way, which is going to be called your Fort Tarsus, and it's a movable sort of world, which you saw in the demo. It's this giant movable four-legged tower, and again, the name is Fort Tarsus, and it acts as your world hub. But it's again only for your character, where you progress through the story at your own pace. There won't be other players in this hub. It's a, well, I have it right here in my notes. It's a Strider. So the Strider, that's what it's called. The Fort Tarsus is a Strider, where you customize your job and look for the main missions and everything. You go and rest. And another small feature that they say it once, and it's not very big, and it's not a real big game mechanic, but you do eat in the world, but I guess it's not necessary. Like, it's kind of like Monster Hunter World. You eat, but you don't have to. I guess you can eat if you want to, like, to gain some kind of boost maybe. They didn't talk about it too much, but I thought that was interesting. So going back to the story a little bit, so we know we're not on Earth. We're humans, but we're not Earthlings. And the main fact about this planet is that it was created by these creatures called Shapers, who are the gods of the world, but apparently they abandoned it for an unknown reason. And the devices, like the big architecture that we see in the demo, is from the Shapers when they were molding the planet, I guess. And these devices are what the Dominion want. They want the Shapers' relics to use. So that's the whole story that we know of so far, is that we want to deactivate these Shapers' artifacts, so the Dominion can't use it against us as freelancers. So that's the basic what we got from the E3 demo as far as story and what the developers have told us. More to come, but I do like this idea that we know what the gods of this world are, but they just abandon it. But apparently we know that they existed, and this is what the Scars are. The Scars, again, another side enemy, are followers of the Shapers. And so I think this is a real interesting story. I want to see more of it. So it has me interested already. So it sounds like a good Bioware story. So I'm very happy to see that it's going to be story driven, and they're not going to push co-op onto the story. Like I think they found from what it sounds like they got a good mix of co-op and that traditional Bioware storytelling, But again, only time will tell when the game comes out, and we'll see. So here's the big thing I think a lot of us will really worried about, given the fact that Bioware is owned by EA. It's loot, the loot boxes, and they have confirmed it. Mark Dura, how do you pronounce his name? Mark Dura, however you want to pronounce it. And Jonathan Warner, who is the game director for Anthem, have confirmed there are no loot boxes of any kind in Anthem. So there's nothing that you have to buy in Anthem that gives you like armor, that gives you weaponry or anything else. The only kind of thing you have to buy is more cosmetic. And these are optional things that you can buy. These are more just like, oh, you want a different paint job or this customized like paint job. You can buy that, but it's not necessary. These are things that are really optional. And these are things that us as gamers, I think, really want. Like if we want to buy something, it should be optional. It shouldn't be like a pay to play type of thing like you see in Star Wars Battlefront and everything. Because that one was done horribly. But it sounds like Anthem has their loot boxes done right. And there are no loot boxes. What I'm saying is that the fact that they're just putting cosmetic things for you to buy in the game is perfect. Like if it's like a 99-cent cosmetic paint job that you can use over and over, that's perfect. Like I'm hoping like they have a Dragon Age Dragon Blood armor paint job for my Java, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy that immediately for $1 and use it on all my Java. And it's like, yes, that's what I want. That's what, those cosmetic things should be that you want to buy. And it should be one-time buys and everything, which I think is cool. I think that's what Anthem and Bioware should be doing. So I think they handled cosmetic loot very well. But loot entirety is in the world. It means you can find it, and it ranges from common to uncommon, rare, legendary, epic, masterwork. So it sounds like there's a lot of things you can loot and find in the world that you can add to your javelin and your character. And again, it's in the world. And also, it's only for you. So if you find a loot chest, the items in there aren't going to be the same for you and the people you're playing with. It's going to be more personalized. So it's again randomized for each person. But they can't. A person can't take your loot. It's going to be there for you to take. So I think that's real good. So, and it's not shared between the party. So the loot is there for you and you alone to use, and it won't be able to be taken by anybody. Because I know in some games it was like, oh, there's this loot, and then somebody goes and grabs it, and then, oh, you can't get it anymore. So I think that's good. So the last thing we have that I put notes down is gameplay. So the gameplay is, there are critical and non-critical paths, meaning you have the main story path, and then you have like side missions, which you can go into the world, dive underwater, or fly above and find side missions, which means the more you explore the world, the more non-critical missions you have. So if you want to, you can literally, for a good while, I guess, ignore the main mission and just explore the world and find things out there that you want to. And it sounds like as Anthem progresses and as it's out, they're going to add more and more things to the world for you to find. Even after you complete the story mission, there's going to be still more for you to find and do into the world, and things for you to fight. And I think that's real cool. I think that's amazing, because they even said they want this game to have a longevity to it. They want it to keep building and going on. So in my hopes, as far as gameplay wise in this living world type of situation, I would kind of hope it has the longevity. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying that I think what they're aiming for is kind of like a World of Warcraft, League of Legends type of thing, where they add more to the world as it's going, and you don't have to put like sequels out every 3 years, like kind of like how Destiny put Destiny 2 out 2-3 years later. I think what Bioware is aiming for is a long-term game that they don't have to make a sequel to for some years. I think more like, if I had to compare it to another console game that's also on PC, more like Elder Scrolls, where that game was just vast and there was always something to do out there. There's never a way to complete Elder Scrolls, So I think that's what they're more shooting for rather than like a Destiny. So I think that's the hope. More on gameplay is that there are there are dialogue trees, but it's very simplified. So it's not gonna be dialogue trees like we are used to, like from Dragon Age and Mass Effect, which I guess bums some people out when they heard it. But to me, I'm thinking, given how what they want to do with Anthem, that might be a better approach for them, because I think this is somewhat new territory for Bioware, and keeping it somewhat simple in some areas is really good because they're not overwhelming themselves. I mean, they can add more of this later to this world that they're talking about. So it is very interesting. So I'm okay with, not over complex dialogue, as long as they build a good world and they give me those characters I love, like how Bioware always does. I think it's fine. So the whole dialogue tree being simplified isn't a worry for me, because I know how well Bioware builds a world and story and lore, and they give you characters that you fall in love with. So I'm not too worried about the simplified dialogue trees. One thing they did that they mentioned, like I overheard, and that caught my ear, was that there is fall damage. So again, with your javelins, you cannot fly forever. I don't know if anybody has caught on to that, or if anybody else has said it. I don't know, but I'm going to mention it now. You cannot fly forever in your javelin. They do overheat, meaning you can fly for a good period of time, and even when you get loot or anything, when you mature in the game, you can upgrade your javelin to fly longer and stay underwater longer, but you do have to upgrade your javelins to do so. So if your javelin overheats in the air, you will fall until it's reboots the way you can fly again. But if you hit the ground, you're going to take some damage. Okay. But there are ways to do this. So like if you're flying, and if you watch the demo, there is a little line under your javelin. It's like a small like arc, and it starts getting bigger. Like it's a small white arc, and you start getting it bigger, and it starts turning red. But if you fly like into the water, or if you fly under a waterfall, it cools your javelin off so you can keep flying. So it's a cool mechanic to where, hey, don't let your javelin overheat. But I want to make this clear: you cannot fly indefinitely in Anthem. Your javelin does overheat, and you do fall, and you do take fall damage. I want to make that clear from what the demo has shown and what the devs have talked about. So just to make that clear, I don't want people to say, oh, they didn't tell us that you take fall. I'm like, no, it was in the trailer. They did talk about it, but I guess if you don't listen, I guess they didn't make that abundantly clear. But I want to make sure I said this and hope people catch it. So one more thing I want to note on, and I think this is very big if you're a Bioware player, if you're a Bioware follower and fan, there are no romances in Anthem. I repeat, no romances. So I guess this is a put off to a lot of Bioware fans, or I guess a disappointment. To me, I don't see it as a disappointment at all, because if a romance doesn't fit into a story, then don't put it in there. Like, don't force it in there. And given how much they seem to be focusing on making this world very alive, I'm okay with Bioware not putting a romance in them. Like, this is how much I trust Bioware. Like, yes, they've had some slip ups, but when they put their best foot forward and they do things, they do it spectacularly. They do it amazingly. And as players, I know we want these things, but at the same time, for these companies that we do love, you have to give them you have to trust them to do a good inside a game. If they just shoehorn the romance in, and I don't like, and the lyric doesn't follow the story, I think I'll be more mad at that, as opposed to them taking romance out and then focus on the story. So for this game, honestly, I didn't even consider romances in this game to begin with, because the way I first saw that on E3 last year when they presented it, I didn't even think of romances. Honestly, I was like, oh, this is like, I thought this would just be a co-op game, go in, shoot, explore the world, that kind of. I didn't even think of romance. So I'm okay with them not having romance in it, because I wasn't expecting it personally. Maybe some of you were, and maybe that is disappointing. But again, give the game a shot at this point because it looks beautiful. The world and how they're building it sounds amazing. I was sold when they said that you can switch into different javelins right off the bat. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's cool. I love that idea. Love it. So they sold me on that right from the get-go. I was already going to get the game, but after seeing what they presented at E3, how much they talked about it, how detailed they went into the gameplay and how the world works, I'm sold, and it sounds like a Bioware game. It sounds like everything I want out of Anthem. Because again, I wasn't expecting the romance. I was very happy to hear that there were no loot boxes. Like everything they said about Anthem, I completely was in 100% for. I was like, yes, now I am excited for this game, and now I definitely gonna buy it. At first, I was just gonna buy it like, hey, I need to support Bioware. I trust them, so I'm gonna buy this game and see how it is. But now, after seeing it at E3 this year, I'm like, oh my god, this game looks amazing. Even I was out of town for E3. Like I was in Dallas for a convention that just so happened to going on at the same time as E3, so I couldn't watch E3, but I had to watch like the videos later. And I was watching it with my friend, and we saw Anthem, and I was like, okay, play that Anthem trailer, because he wasn't even interested in Bioware Anthem games. But he saw this game, he was like, oh my god, this looks amazing, have to get it. Yes, getting it. And I was really happy about that, because one, I only have like 2 real friends I play online games with, and for at least one of them to say, hey, I'm getting this game, and that means my other friends are gonna be forced to get it. He saw the trailer there, and he said, yeah, he's getting it too. So that's very cool for me, because I love playing games with those guys. So the fact that Bioware sold my 2 friends who aren't Bioware fans on Anthem is great for me, because I'm like, yes, I have my 2 friends I'm gonna play co-op with on Anthem already, so I'm know what I'm doing. But no, I mean, Anthem sold me, it sold my friends on it, and I'm very excited for Anthem now. I'm like, yes, I can't wait for it. And by the way, we do have a release date. It is February 22nd, 2019. So yeah, it comes out February of next year, which is 8 months away. And we kind of already knew that was going to be next year. I was hoping for a little sooner. I don't know if they're not going to push that date up. It's going to be February. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, what about Dragon Age? What about Mass Effect? That's what we really want. Yes, that's what we want, because that's our niche. Dragon Age more so for me, because that's what my channel is based around. I think I'm gonna make they are working on Bioware, and other news is Mass Effect is not on. It's on temporary ice. It's like thawing out right now, because they do still have plans to continue the Mass Effect series, and according to Mark Dura, the Dragon Age game is going swell. So they are working on it, and most likely, hopefully, we'll see Dragon Age 4 at E3 2019. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to see it this year, because I know they're gonna be focusing on Anthem, but no, Anthem looks amazing. It looks beautiful, and I'm excited for it. If you guys haven't, go check out the Anthem E3 demo. Go check out Mark Dura's interview on it. Go check out Jonathan Warner, who did a lot of the press conference for it at E3. Go check out Casey Hudson. Him and Mark Dura are always answering questions on Twitter, on Reddit about Anthem, and they're very open about it. So Anthem looks amazing. It looks great, and I'm excited for it. I really am. So you guys really should check it out and make up your minds if you think you should get it, if you're gonna get it, or if you need to see more, because there's going to be a lot more revealed in the near future. But personally, I'm already going to get the game, and I hope to play with you guys when it comes out. Anyway, guys, that has been my thoughts on Anthem. I'm excited, and that's it, guys. So I will see you next time. Later, Wolfpack.